Hey guys, what's up? Oh god, I kind of hate the way that I just said that. Welcome to this video. This video is just a chill vibe. We're just gonna have some little like chill music going on in the back. We got Charlie up in here. We're just gonna be chatting about books that I've bought recently. And I have collectively, this is a very collective haul, gotten some books. So I decided to share them with you. Now, some of these are books that I read in October. So I'm not gonna share my thoughts on these books, and obviously some of them I haven't even read yet. So I'm going to try to kind of do it in order. Okay, I think the first book that I bought was No Exit by Taylor Adams. And can I just rant about how I don't like little books like this? Like when they're like this, like when they feel so tiny, I do not like them. I don't like them at all when they're this small. It literally, that was my problem when I was reading Misery by Stephen King. It was a book like this instead of just like a regular sized book, and I just couldn't do it. Like there's something about a book being this small. Like let me know if you guys feel the same. But there's something about a book being this small that just like genuinely kind of makes me feel weird. Anyway, that was like so irrelevant. No Exit by Taylor Adams. This is about Darby, and she is driving in a snowstorm to go see her mom. And it's a really bad snowstorm, and so she has to pull over to this rest stop where, you know, there's 4 other people there. And she goes outside and she sees in the back of a van there's a little girl in a cage. And so she's like, oh my god, how am I going to get me and this little girl out alive? And you're basically just following over a span of a few hours of her being stuck at this rest stop. Could not think of the word. Her being stuck at this rest stop and her trying to formulate a plan because she does not know whose van it is, and she doesn't know how she should get away from somebody who is kidnapping a little girl. So this book was just super interesting to me because I had seen someone talk about this and I had never heard of it before. And when I looked into it, like the premise of like being stuck somewhere and you see that like there is a little kid stuck and obviously being kidnapped, you're just literally like, I need to help this child. Like your subconscious would not let you just ignore it. Like how would you get through that situation? And I always think it's cool to read like these books and think about what you would do, because that's like what goes through my mind. I also should say, I've said this in so many freaking videos in October, but I am just reading like thriller and dark academia spooky vibes this month. And let me just tell you guys that I think I'm taking a huge break from thrillers after this month, because it's just like, even if they have a different premise, they all start to feel the same, you know, because all thrillers, just like all romance books, are formulated the same. If you take romance, you have the beginning where they don't really know each other, then you go to the middle where they're like liking each other, maybe they get together, then you have like the 3rd act breakup, like in every single book. And with thrillers, it's always, oh, this is happening, and oh, here's this, and then ooh, plot twist. Like that's just always how it is. So they're all formulated the same. They all start to feel the same at some point. The next book that I bought was Final Girls by Riley Sager. If you guys do not know, Riley Sager is a very popular thriller author, and I had never read a single one of his books. I know that Final Girls, Lock Every Door, and Home Before Dark are his like most popular thrillers, so I decided to start with Final Girls. You're following Quincy, and she is a infamous final girl. So there are also 2 other final girls. They're not related like in the same accident, like they've all had different incidents, but they're all infamous for being a final girl. And so you're following Quincy, and you're following kind of like what her life has been post, you know, tragic incident. But here's the thing about Quincy is that she does not remember the night where her trauma happened to her. Like she remembers kind of the beginning of it. She does not remember anything in the middle, and all she remembers is being saved. So she doesn't really remember what happened, and it's just kind of following her. And so one of the other infamous final girls gets murdered, and you kind of see how all of this trauma starts coming back to her in her new life. I just thought the whole entire like final girl thing was a super interesting take. I don't know, like you think about it, like my favorite movie ever is Scream, and you have to think about like what's so interesting about Scream sequels is to see how Sidney Prescott lives her life after being deemed a final girl. So it's just really cool. I thought this premise was really cool. Next book is The Whisper Man by Alex North. So I was originally going to get The Shadows. I forget what The Shadows is about. But honestly, The Whisper Man and The Shadows, like when I heard people talking about these books, it gave me big It vibes. Like, you know, like of the town of It and how there's like this little folklore going around. Like that's kind of how this book, and I felt like The Shadows was giving off. Like The Shadows really gave me like It vibes. Not for like a clown, but just like the town, it really gave me those vibes. But I saw a lot of people say The Whisper Man was a lot better than The Shadows, and so I was like, okay, I'll get The Whisper Man. Basically what The Whisper Man is about is you are following Tom, who is the dad, and Jake, who's the son. Tom decides to move to a different town to kind of start new after his wife dies, and he's having a really hard time with it. And then they move to this town where there's an infamous serial killer, Frank Carter, who is the Whisper Man, but he has been in prison for like over 20 years. But the thing is that right before they move to this town, another little boy goes missing, and it is kind of like the same remnants of how the Whisper Man was. I'm having a hard time like trying to describe books, especially if I've already read them, because I don't want to like, it's really hard. It's really hard. Next book is The Atlas 6, because I have literally seen this book everywhere. Like, I'm not even kidding. It's on Instagram, it's on TikTok, it's on YouTube. Like, it is everywhere, and I think it's because it kind of went more viral on TikTok first, and I feel like anything that goes viral on TikTok transfers over to YouTube, and that also transfers over to Instagram. Like, if you can get a book to blow up on TikTok, it's blowing up everywhere. Like, I feel like that's where now BookTube is kind of getting some of its inspiration from, is whatever's going popular on TikTok. I saw it at Barnes & Noble in their Dark Academia section, and I was like, cool, Dark Academia sounds like a vibe. And it's basically about the Alexandrian Society. So Atlas is like the caretaker of this Alexandrian Society. I guess the library got burned to the ground and like he remade it or something. So those who earn a place among the Alexandrians will secure a life of wealth, power, and prestige beyond their wildest dreams. Each decade, only 6 most uniquely placed magicians are selected to be considered for initiation, and then only 5 of them go on to be part of the Alexandrian Society. So one of them is not deemed enough. I don't know. But you're basically taking like 6 of the main characters. And something that I really like about this book, the illustrations. So it shows the characters, and you can tell like what character is which by like how they are illustrated. So they'll either illustrate like, because with, I'm pretty sure this is Parisa. This is Parisa, and she's known for being extremely beautiful, so you could tell like by this illustration that it was her. And that was super helpful to me because I am really, really bad at picturing characters in my head. Like if there is a book and they're like, she has brunette hair and she has brown eyes, and I will just literally just see someone with no features and just brown hair. Like I cannot actually picture a person. And sometimes it's cool to have like illustrations like that that kind of show you what the person looks like. But also I'm not a big fan of like when books would like put a picture of somebody. Like, hear me out. Have you guys ever read books on Wattpad? Because I know you have, because girl, for a lot of my high school, I was not out here buying books, so I was just reading off Wattpad because it was free, and there were some good books on there, and they would like put pictures of like famous people who they thought looked like their character, and it would ruin it for me. It would ruin it. I would literally be like, oh, now I can't imagine this person, because I don't want to imagine a famous person. I'm just reading a regular book. Like, I don't want to imagine this is a famous person, you know? But still, I like that about this book, that it had illustrations, but it's all like magical and like, I imagine this is kind of like Dark Academia, Harry Potter, I guess. I don't know, I've never read Harry Potter or watched the movie, so I wouldn't know. Now I bought physical copies of books that I didn't have that are some of my favorite books ever, and so I bought the physical copies of them, and that is Beach Read and The Silent Patient, because these are like some of my favorite books ever, and I didn't have physical copies of them, which literally pained me because I use the app Libby to read books. If you guys don't know what that is, it's literally just like your library but electronic version, so you're literally borrowing ebooks through your library, and I can't just like pick these books up anytime at the library, you know? And so I was like, I really want the physical copies of these books, and The Silent Patient was on a buy one get one 50 table, and I'll show you the other book that I got when I got this. And I had to get it because The Hating Game is another book that I really need the physical copy of. Like, it is one of my favorite books ever, and I don't have a physical copy of it. But this was on a buy one get one 50 table, and I was always looking at this like, I really want to buy the physical copy of it, but like I'm not just going to go seek it out, you know, because when you go into Barnes & Noble, you're not going to like buy physical copies of books you already read. If I'm going to Barnes & Noble, I want to buy new books that I haven't read, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, this was on a buy one get one 50 table, and I was like, this is a perfect chance. If I can get this 50% off, this is really good. So if you guys don't know what The Silent Patient is and you haven't read it, you need to read it, because this is my favorite thriller of all time, because I actually listened to the audiobook. I didn't even read like I could see words on a page of this book, but I loved it. It was the only thriller that genuinely caught me off guard, and I could not even guess what was going to happen. Like, I was literally so engrossed into this book, and I was like, what is going to happen? Like, I was so sucked into it, and I know that when I actually will read the physical words on the page, that I will be even more intrigued. And actually, this week is the last week of October, but I was wanting to read this again in October, even though I've already read it this year, but I wanted to read it again, to read it physically for the first time. But it is about Alicia, and she murders her husband, and she doesn't say a single word to anyone. She never, when the cops show up, she doesn't say a single word. She doesn't say anything to the lawyer. She doesn't say anything. She's in like a mental, she's in the psychiatric unit. She's in the psychiatric unit because obviously she was deemed insane. And she's never spoke to anybody, not once. And so you're following Theo. He's a criminal psychologist, so he decides to go to the psychiatric unit and work there and be her new therapist of sorts. And you're basically getting his point of view and him trying to like piece together the puzzle of what happened and why she was behaving that way. And you're kind of getting her point of view, but really it's past diary entries, so you're kind of just looking into the past when she was kind of fully functioning. And then, of course, like I said, I got Beach Read because this is one of my favorite books. Actually, maybe unpopular opinion, I prefer Beach Read way over People We Meet on Vacation, because I don't know why, I just didn't vibe with People We Meet on Vacation as much as I did this book. I think a big thing that I liked about Beach Read was that they were authors. Like, I don't know why, like I loved their whole like dynamic of them both writing a book, because I've always been interested in like literature and writing books and stuff like that. And so I think that's why I really loved this book, and I loved the characters in this book. Speaking of what I got at the buy 150 table, I got The Chain. So actually, I don't see a lot of people talk about this book, but I remember Noel Gallagher talking about this book, and I never really was going to like go and seek this book out, because I was just kind of like, oh, that sounds interesting, but like it's not enough for me to be like, yeah, let me go get it. This was on the buy 150 table, and I was like, okay, well, this is like the only other book that I even knew on the buy 150 table, and I was like, okay, I'll get this. So let me read the back to you. You just dropped off your child at the bus stop. A panicked stranger calls your phone. Your child has been kidnapped. The stranger then explains that their child has also been kidnapped by a completely different stranger. The only way to get your child back is to kidnap another child. You are now part of the chain. So basically, this book is like your kid gets kidnapped, and the only way to get your kid back is to kidnap another kid. And then you have to call their parent and be like, listen, if you want your kid back, kidnap another child. So I honestly don't know what goes on in this book. I don't know if like the main character is going to try to break the chain, or you're following them trying to kidnap a child. I don't know. It's pretty thick. So maybe I think that they're going to try to break the chain. I really don't know, but this is going to be my next read. Like, this is the book I'm going to read next. The last thriller that we have is by an author that I've really wanted to read his books for a long time. This is the first book that I'm going to read from him, because his thrillers just seem like such different ideas, and I really like them. And that is John Mars. I got The Passengers by him. This book seems so interesting. Basically, what it's about, 8 people are in driverless cars. So imagine a Tesla. You're in a Tesla, and the route changes, and there's this voice that goes over the thing, and it's like, you're gonna die. And basically, like, the cameras that are in the cars are filming you, and there are millions of people just streaming and watching it and deciding whether you live or die. Makes you not want to buy a Tesla. Okay, and then the last book that I plan to read in October is one that is so hyped up right now, and let me tell you guys, the tension between me and a book of the month membership is extremely high. Okay, it is like up here, like really up here. I have went on book of the month multiple times, and I'm like, maybe I should just like bite the bullet and do it. And then I'm like, no. And then I'm like, yeah, you should do it. But then I don't. But I had seen everyone talking about this, and it wasn't in stock at any of my Barnes and Nobles, and I had to get this book. Like, I had to. So that book is the Hex. I'm sure a lot of people already could tell that that's what this book was, but I have just seen so many people talking about this book, and I'm like, I have to read it, and I'm going to read it probably like on Halloween or right before Halloween, and I'm so excited. It's like, imagine Sabrina the Teenage Witch, like from the 90s, not the Netflix show, but like from the 90s where it's all cute and fun, you know? Imagine that. Like, that's what this book is. That's what this book reminds me of. Okay, the rest of these books I'm going to be reading in November, and let me just tell you guys, I can't wait to read these books. One of them, again, back to my whole book of the month, Tension. This was such a hyped book, and Steph Bohr, I don't know how to pronounce her last name, and it always freaking makes me so mad because I watch her literally every day, and I can never remember when I go to film how to pronounce her last name. But she's like my favorite booktuber. Her, Noelle Gallagher, and Larry Reeds. They are my 3 faves. So, Steph was talking about this in her like fake dating video that she just made, and I had seen this book literally everywhere. That is The Love Hypothesis. I had to get my hands on it. It's pretty thick. Like, this compared to the Hex, like the Hex is like way shorter than this book is going to be. I don't know much about this because I haven't read it yet, but I am really excited because it seems cute and just fun. So, can't wait to read it. I also heard that this used to be like a Star Wars something. I don't know. I can't remember, but like, I can't remember. Anyway, talking about Steph and Larry Reeds because they are the big reason I bought these 2 books. First one is Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. I have been wanting this book forever. Love in Other Words. I don't know if people were comparing this to People We Meet on Vacation, because I remember like I had read a book and I had seen people talking about this, and of course I saw like Steph and Larry Reeds talk about this, and I was like, what is this? I can't remember, but I know it's like a friends to lovers scenario. Childhood friends. Yeah, that's all I know about this book, but I can't wait to read it. And the last book in this haul, let me tell you, the other day when I bought this, I literally came home and I was like, I'm just gonna read it. And I was like, no, you need to save it for November. Even though like no one's making me just read thrillers, but for some reason I just want to read it in November. Like, I'm just weird. Like, the way my brain works is not okay. But that is The Deal by Elle Kennedy. I hate this cover. Like, I don't like when there are people on covers, like actual people. I just really don't like it. But I have not read this series. I know this is the Off-Campus series. Steph talks about this all the time, and I know so does Larry Reeds, and a lot of people talk about this, but this seems to be like the favorite book, and this is the first book of the series. So I'm really scared that I'm going to love this series. I'm pretty sure there's only like 2 other books though, aren't there, in the series? So it's not like it's a huge series, but The Deal, I know that this is just like about, I don't know. Is it hockey? I don't know. I don't know what this book is about, but I just know that I've heard a lot of people talk about it, and I'm super excited to read it. Those are all of the books that I bought recently. I hope you guys enjoyed this kind of cool, little just cozy, fun video. I just kind of wanted to share, you know, books I've been buying recently. You guys tell me if you guys have read these books, or if you guys are planning to read these books, let me know down below, and let me know what other videos that you guys want to see, and I will see you when I see ya. Peace.